The renewed Federal Canada Community Building Fund, or CCBF, provides predictable, long-term, stable funding for Canadian municipalities. It helps build and revitalize local public infrastructure while creating jobs and long-term prosperity. Started in 2005 as the Federal Gas Tax Fund, the CCBF continues to provide funding to support municipalities in Saskatchewan. The CCBF allocation is an estimated $350.3 million over the first 5 years from 2024-25 to 2028-29 of the renewed program. Municipalities that have a CCBF agreement with the province receive a portion of this funding, which is allocated on a per capita basis, with a minimum allocation of $2,000 to smaller municipalities that would receive less based on their population only. Information on your municipality's allocation can be found on the CCBF website. The most substantive change to the renewed agreement relates to the Government of Canada tying infrastructure funding to actions by provinces and municipalities to increase housing supply and affordability. As a result, municipalities, if applicable, will be required to submit a housing needs assessment, a project-level housing report, and a housing narrative report on program-level housing outcomes for the federal government. More information on reporting requirements can be found in the video, Canada Community Building Fund Reporting. Funding is provided upfront twice a year. Municipalities can pool, bank, and borrow against this funding, providing a lot of financial flexibility. Municipalities can use the renewed CCBF funding for several types of capital projects under 19 different project categories. The categories include local roads and bridges, wastewater, drinking water, solid waste, community energy systems, public transit, tourism infrastructure, recreational infrastructure, and capacity building projects, including asset management planning. Municipalities need to complete an application and submit it for approval. This application is called an Infrastructure Investment Plan, or IIP. Make sure to provide complete information on the IIP. This helps staff evaluate your proposal. A guide has been created to help you with this. When completing your IIP, there are a few things you need to consider. The project name should confirm at a glance project eligibility, category, objectives, and scope. The project description should identify the main objective of the project and the expected outcomes. This includes quantitative values wherever possible. In addition to the street address or legal land description, the latitude and longitude of each project is also required. Check the guide to determine the coordinates for your project and make sure to include a map with your IIP submission that identifies your project's location. Proposed project costs are based on estimates at the start of a project. You may submit a written request to change it throughout the project. With the last renewal, if your municipality is required to complete a housing needs assessment under CCBF, and if infrastructure-related housing gaps are identified in the housing needs assessment, the municipality is required to invest CCBF funds in projects that would improve housing outcomes. The CCBF is an outcomes-based program, meaning the output and outcome measures your municipality identifies at the start of a project will be used to report the benefits and outcomes you achieve once it's complete. Once the project is complete, this information will be reported in an outcomes survey. As part of the CCBF agreement, your municipality is required to implement asset management planning. Have you considered long-term infrastructure needs in relation to your project? The section on tenders and contracts reminds municipalities about their responsibility in awarding tenders and contracts. Make sure that this information is reviewed and acknowledged by your municipal council. Contact information regarding trade obligations and policies is also provided here. We'll also need to specify your municipality's intent to contact the appropriate authorities regarding permits, licenses, and approvals for the project. Think about communication opportunities, such as signs, events, or announcements. These opportunities help people recognize federal CCBF investments in your community. Before you submit your IIP, make sure all appropriate signatures and supporting documents are included. You will be notified when the IIP is received and if it is approved. If there are any questions about your IIP, program staff will be in touch to clarify. Your approval letter will include important information about your project. Make sure you read it carefully. There are several reporting requirements under the terms and conditions of the Municipal Funding Agreement. More information can be found in the video, Canada Community Building Fund Reporting.